travel faster than the speed of light. That's what's meant by warp drive. But the amount of energy you need to warp space is
Да, блядь.
unbelievably gigantic. So, you'd have to like be converting matter.
Я не могу
energy at a
перевести
rate
их
that
автоматически.
is
Ну ладно, будут английские
you
субтитры, чат.
cannot conceive, really. It can't be like something like, well, if we energy problem solved.
Да ё-моё.
Like that's a lot, and there's not many Jupiters.
Ебать, какой у него фон красивый, а, чат? Скажите.
And there might be a bit of radiation around that. So, like, there are things like technically the universe did expand faster than the speed of light. That's why we can see light from all these super distant stars. Like.
Он говорит, что Вселенная расширяется быстрее, чем скорость света.
So I'm sure we'll like figure out some strange breakthroughs, and come to grips better with like this dark matter, especially, which seems like something's fishy going on there. And
it has bad branding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Тодд, блядь.
Exactly.
Лучше бы ты молчал, нахуй.
The universe is mostly dark energy and dark matter according to current physics, but it's just kind of
про плохое брендирование. Купи вселенную, блядь.
This is not a good explanation. Nobody can find the dark matter. But I sort of figure, like, hey, if this is a video game and somebody had a bug in their like orbital dynamics physics simulator, then it's like, oh no, we got to figure out some way for these minions in here to believe that they're in reality. So insert dark matter.
But the idea of a game as a simulation, sort of predicting things, or whatever. I mean, obviously, it's entertainment on some level, but there are.
Я не понимаю, о чем они пока общаются, чат. Илон рассказывает про расширение вселенной, а они ему что-то про игры задвигают.
Is there value there in that, and sort of in kind of testing things and exploring ideas inside of a game world?
Yeah, actually at Tesla we have a whole sim team that tries to create a photorealistic world, and we're trying to be photorealistic about like actually the most boring things like skid marks on the road and like concrete curbs, shadows, faded lines.
Like
the reason self-driving is hard is
Это, конечно, да.
you have all these.
Я бы, наверное, с удовольствием, но, сори, я не тянка.
Like there should be painted lines, but there aren't painted lines, and they took the painted lines away.
Yeah.
That's offset from the painted lines, so that will cause the car, if it just listens to the lines, to crash into stuff. If you had clearly painted lines and could count on them, self-driving would be trivial, like just a piece of cake. But the world is just filled with all these things that are not the way they're supposed to be.
Короче, он сейчас сказал, чат, если кто не понимает, не особо. Он говорит, что если бы просто типа были линии, то есть разметка, то можно было бы ездить, на автопилоте, изи, кусок пирога. Но так как в мире куча хаоса и может быть неправильно нанесена разметка, то это намного усложняет AI.
And we have found a good correlation. It's like, does the car drive off the cliff in sim? Yes. Does it drive off the cliff in reality? Well, we got close.
Говорит, мы
I
близки.
think you said it once. It's not the lines. It's looking for drivable space is more important than the markings in real life, because that's how your mind's actually working.
Yeah.
Even if there's a lane, you can't. There's someone there. Like, it's more drivable space that's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, we recently found that we need. We had like pretty good recognition of lines and what's technically drivable space, but we actually need what is road, and as opposed to what is like what is the most probably
Что такое дорога,
as opposed to drivable space, and what is and then a whole subset on curbs. We're really into curbs.
Я тоже не понимаю, что там Говард забыл. Точнее, Тодд.
Really subtle.
Тодд, что ты там делаешь?
And some you should care about, some you shouldn't care about. Sometimes you go into a driveway and it's got a little curb, and then the car's like, oh, curb, can't go over that. You know, or who's like operating on drive
Здесь
space,
должно
going
быть
through,
написано, о
like, a
чем они
neighborhood,
должны
and
говорить,
then
верно?
everyone's driveway is drive space. Technically true, but you don't want to go through everyone's driveway. It's not good.
Стоит
I
игра
was
Outer
going to say, you think about
Worlds.
like that. A lot of that stuff started video game wise, like image processing and things like that, and AI. And what they're doing there is, you know, people look at technology now. They always underestimate how fast technology moves. In the present day, they don't cast back. You look at things, but I think the self-driving and what's happening now is going to fundamentally change the world in ways that people can't even expect. And you think about our children might not even learn to drive because the cars will all be driving themselves around. Or
Тот говорит, что дети уже не будут учиться водить, потому что машины
There's just
будут
like
ездить
all these
сами.
studies that are
Will go up.
fascinating. Yeah, exactly. Like, so if you look at like what are the best self-driving stocks? Alcohol companies. Because like you know,
And more games to play too on the screens, I guess.
gaming companies. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, I mean, it's like video games have drove computing technology, especially GPUs, massively. It's like that's the only thing you need a GPU for was to have the game look better, and so those massive resources put into rendering games to be more realistic, and then those same GPUs ended up being very useful for neural nets, and gave a huge boost to AI. So it's sort of video games to better graphics to AI, and then that same thing is sort of quite key to
Поняли?
self-driving.
Илон говорит, что игры дали скачок
ГПУшкам,
ГПУшкам, развитию. И эти ГПУшки, развившиеся, дали скачок нейросетям и AI развитию. Так что все благодаря играм.
5, 10 plus years in terms of the AI and the simulation and what's going to sort of happen there?
I think that's the part of gaming that's going to make the biggest jump. I think the graphic fidelity.
Что случится с играми в ближайшие 5 лет?
Тодда
спрашивайте.
There's some laws of diminishing returns there as things start to look better and better and better and better. But as far as how a game feels, the other characters in the AI, you know.
Говорит, графон станет лучше. Что, лучше, чем в 76-м? Невозможно.
And now that you can move some of that processing to the cloud, neural nets, other things, I think that's the part where it's going to get significantly better over the next generation.
Станет говорить лучше.
Characters know you better, or I mean, what do you have any sense of how that
reacting to
itself?
things that you did in a more realistic manner. They're more reactive to what you're doing or the situation around them. You know,
То есть он говорит, что мир будет более реагировать на тебя. Круто.
You know, we get to a point where these games become more sort of indistinguishable from reality, and I'm curious about, you know, what do you think sort of, you know, where do you think this goes ultimately as these games continue to improve, graphics get better, but then the simulation gets better? Do we reach this sort of, you know, singularity, this point where sort of, you know, the game
Два часа?
same thing, the simulation is.
А, нет, другие
Imagine
говорили.
if we were to reach such a situation, that would be crazy.
What are we playing now?
I bet we see those like these creatures in the game saying, "Wow, imagine if can you imagine if there was a simulation? Like you're in a simulation, guys." And it's simulations all the way down. It's a simulation and a simulation and a simulation.
Ого. Мы
Seems
что?
likely. I mean, well,
Inception?
like if you assume any rate of improvement of video games at all, then one or two things are going to happen. Civilization will end, or games will be so realistic you can't tell the difference between them and reality.
А Илон сказал, что
Postulate.
если игры будут улучшаться,
Does this sound correct?
случится либо
Does this sound correct? Yeah.
типа цивилизация закончится, либо игры станут настолько неотличимы от реальности, что ты не сможешь сказать разницу.
Right now.
Ты сейчас в игре, в симуляции
Whose avatar are you?
или в реальной жизни.
When you think of kind of, you know,
Все как в Рике и Морти. Прожить жизнь, помните? Игра.
You know, when you look at games and the games you play now, I mean, what are the things you want to see in games that don't happen right now?
Что ты хочешь видеть в играх, то, что не происходит сейчас?
You're obviously thinking about, you know, lots of things, but when you play games, are you satisfied, or are there things that frustrate you about games? What do you want to see games do in the future?
I don't know if I should say.
Yeah. You working on a game too?
Говорит, не
No.
думаю, что я должен
No,
говорить
but I
это.
mean, like, I don't know.
Двудетян?
I mean, like, I mean, a bit more R-rated. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to be honest here.
Bit more
Popular
R-rated. То есть больше игр для взрослых.
I don't know if I can follow that up. That's,
Тот просто хочет игры, которые можно продавать по 100
The
раз.
stuff that you play now, I guess you talked about Todd's games, but I'm curious, kind of, wider spectrum. Your kids play games, you play games. Like, what are you, what excites you? Like, what games are you looking forward to? What have you played recently? Like, there are a lot of games out there. What does it take for a game to attract your interest?
Что нужно для игры, чтобы привлечь твой
Last
интерес?
couple of years, actually, I haven't played a lot of games because it's been super intense work situation. So
Говорит, я не очень много
work,
играю, потому что
take this
очень
for a bit
занят
and
работой.
Get like not enough sleep. So that's been the
Мало
situation
сплю.
for a couple of years. So just haven't had much time to play games a lot. Probably the last game that I played a lot was probably Fallout 4.
Okay.
Ова, подлизал. Говорит, много играл в Fallout 4,
And then he was like, I'm done.
последняя игра, в
It's good.
которую играл, прям много.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this game, Cyberpunk. I like the theme.
Что сказал Ведьмак 3?
Yeah.
And we're actually that weirdly was what we decided to have our pickup truck as a kind of like a
О, говорит,
Cyberpunk
Киберпанк.
pickup truck.
Ебать, мне понравился Киберпанк.
Hopefully end of the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inspired.
It looks weird.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't look normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
this is-
inspired
Тот
directly
сидит
by
такой.
the theme of Cyberpunk in the game a little bit? or-
It was not inspired. I learned about the game.
Киберпанк.
afterwards. This is
Ну и
something
вали
I've
со
worked
своим
on for a while.
Киберпанком.
Yeah.
But I just sort of I like the general idea, so it's sort of like sort of sort of has a slight Blade Runner feel to it.
Wow.
Говорит, похоже на Blade Runner.
It definitely doesn't look like a normal car. It looks like it should not be on the roads, and
But it will
it came
be.
out of a movie or something. But so won't appeal to everyone, but it'll be something that's different, and it'll be probably appeal to. I think I would buy it.
Говорит, я куплю ее.
So yeah, and I think like if you're like trying to work on something, and like my experience is like it's really hard to if you're trying to figure out what others love but you don't love it, it's really hard to make that great. So when you work on
Ебать.
something,
Вот это он,
If you fall
ебать, он только что
that's
похоронил
good stuff.
Тодда. Говорит, если
don't worry
ты
about
хочешь
others doing stuff.
попытаться...
If you do,
Ладно, сейчас
others
перейду.
will.
I imagine the same.
Ебать. Говорит, очень сложно сделать что-то хорошее для людей, типа ты хочешь для них сделать что-то хорошее, но если ты это не любишь, то типа хуёво получается. Что-то типа в этом. Так что, ебать. Но это рект. Он даже яйца зачесал.
One thing I want to talk about is online play, and you've got these, a lot in the news recently, Elon, about the Starlink.
Но тот любит свое дело. Но дело Тодда продавать оверсилкеры, а не делать хорошие игры. Чувствуешь разницу?
Can you maybe talk a bit about that project and how it will tie into potentially gaming?
Sure. We actually one of the design criteria for Starlink is to have latency for the initial constellation on the order of 20 milliseconds or below, which is important for real-time gaming. And then the later sort of second generation, third generation.
Говорит, что ты думаешь про Starlink, типа облачный гейминг. Он говорит, нужно маленькая latency. Меньше, чем 20 миллисекунд. Но, блядь, мы знаем, что у облачного гейминга сейчас пиздец, там, больше сотки.
Pretty amazing. That's, what's exciting. We look at, these cloud platforms, streaming, something like that. I mean, Todd, from a designer perspective, that must open up so many possibilities, I think, about, where games are going to go in the future, right?
Блин, у них такой приятный английский язык, его легко слушать, воспринимать. С 5G все должно измениться. Хрен знает.
games need to be, where it's ubiquitous. It's not just in our part of the world where people are connected well. It's other parts of the world that are growing, and these billions of gamers who are coming into the scene.
Просто то, что нам даже показывали на презентации EA, там, где они играли в Doom, да, на геймпаде и прям на телефоне стримили его себе, там даже был расчет, что там задержка пиздец, когда он типа стикер поворачивал, там, когда поворачивается. О, здорово. Чувак стримит на Twitch и задал вопрос. Бля, я пропустил его вопрос.
Okay. We talked a bit about that, the idea that
42, говорит Тодд. 42 раза купи Skyrim, а потом купи 43.
Alright, appreciate it. Next question, let's maybe go over here. Yep.
Подожди, в смысле, ответьте пацану, блядь. Мэри Кет.
That's loud. Charles, where are your tusks? Yeah.
Yeah, we're on talks, you saying?
А, он типа спрашивает, где твой клык?
Yeah. I've heard that before. Upcoming episode of Rick and Morty.
Justin Roiland's up next.
Hey, Elon, thanks for coming. Thanks, guys. Elon, so if we want to get to Mars, it's going to take a long time to get astronauts out there. What kind of entertainment plan do you have? I mean, hopefully they're going to.
Чем вы хотите развлекать астронавтов, которые будут лететь? Они же долго будут лететь?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Да, здорово. Конечно, думаем развлекать их.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the woman right there behind you. Yeah.
Mine is simple. Elon Musk, how much do I have to beg to get a selfie with you?
Сколько мне нужно умолять, чтобы получить селфи с тобой?
Sure.
All right. Next.
Да, конечно.
Let's go maybe as far back there. Yeah. The red shirt.
Девки, блядь. Лишь бы селфи в инста сделать.
It's for Elon. How do I sign up to test out your neural net program?
Как мне записаться, чтобы затестить вашу нейросеть?
And then don't worry.
I'm in.
It'll be fine. Might sting a little.
Говорит, что будет аркейдом, типа запишись, все. Вот если бы у вас был вопрос к гению один, вы бы спросили его, можно ли с ним сфоткаться? Говорит, тебе не нужны интерны. Говорит, есть веб-сайт, на котором написана куча... Все хотят подмазаться.
Hey, Elon. Wow, this is crazy.
Спросил кто-то, как дела.
Yeah, so right now I'm trying to build like a tokenized game economy for gamers. So my question is, for 2 karma points and on behalf of our simulation overlords, can you sign my cyberpunk hat?
Sure.
We'll get it up here for him. All right.
Блять, ну что за вопросы, ебать? Можешь подписать мне, блядь, киберпанковую шляпу? Ёбаный рот, спросите что-то нормальное.
Mike down here. You got the glasses?
Karma does seem real.
Elon, I'm just wondering with all the noise.
Сейчас спрашивает Илона. Тодда не существует.
How do you stay focused? Because I can't imagine.
Как ты остаешься сфокусированным на своей работе?
Yeah, it's insane.
His premise was you do stay focused.
Yeah, pretty focused.
It's so many things.
Man, I feel like the level keeps ratchet. Can we just turn that difficulty level down 1 notch? That would be really helpful. It keeps dialing up the difficulty.
Medium.
That's like off nightmare level.
Over here? Yeah.
So this is a question for both of you. Actually, you mentioned failures before. What's the actual biggest failure that you've gone through to get to where you are?
Уф. Спрашивает вопрос к обоим. Вы типа сталкивались с фейлами в своей жизни? Блядь.
That's a tricky question.
Говорит.
It's funny. It's an
Какой был самый большой?
Right.
And I don't.
You don't know your response.
И Илон такой типа, Тодд.
meaning like they crash satellites and tanks and things like that. I do not have a good answer for that.
Тот говорит, у меня нет хорошего
Three
ответа.
rockets in the beginning.
Илон говорит, ну у меня взорвалось 3 ракеты
That was bad.
в начале. Это было хуёво.
Actually, I only had enough money. Well, originally, I basically took all the money I made from PayPal, put it into SpaceX, to creating SpaceX.
Короче, он взял
and SolarCity,
все бабки, которые заработал на PayPal,
initially figured I'd just
инвестировал
keep half of it,
в SpaceX.
and then I spend the other half on these crazy adventures that would probably fail.
И-
And then, unfortunately, they needed all the money. So, so I had to give them all the money. And then I didn't have a house or I had to borrow money for rent. That was pretty difficult. That was back in 2008.
И типа в 2008 году
And then we managed to
все
scrape
пошло по
enough
пизде, у него даже не было дома.
to do a fourth launch at SpaceX, and that worked. And if it had not worked, SpaceX would have died. Probably would have lacked the credibility to raise the remaining money for Tesla, and we wouldn't be
Говорит,
here
если бы
today.
не сработало со
Or maybe it was
SpaceX, нихуя бы не собрал на
not this
Теслу.
ending.
For me,
И
it would be
вот так вот. Но все получилось.
I guess for me, it'd have to be similar to the games we made in the period after Daggerfall. We made a bunch of games that just they didn't land, and the company was gonna go out of business. And we got a lifeline, and then like.
Говорит, у Тодда самое худшее было после Даггерфола. Типа делали хуйню, и было сложно.
All right, one more question.
После Даггерфола, поняли,
Last
чат?
question. You want to pick? Elon?
Все игры после Даггерфола.
Up top?
Упс.
Oh, there's everyone up there.
Can't see through the lights.
I know, they're way up there. All right, yeah, maybe the hand way up there, yeah. Yeah, yell out your question.
Hi.
Нихуя не слышу.
Actually, we launch all the time. We do.
Когда следующий запуск? Но они рели
20,
постоянно
30
запускают.
launches a year. Most of them are from Cape Canaveral. Some are from Vanderbilt here in California. And in order for people to really see the launch, like that super crazy visible, kind of looked like a,
Ну, типа сказала, что
alien invasion from North
я и
Korea.
куда-то ехала, когда был ваш запуск, все остановились, типа только смотрели, когда у вас следующий. И он говорит, мы постоянно запускаем.
Yeah, 911 lines went ballistic. They broke down the 911 system. So we weren't actually. For us, we knew it was happening, so it was like, oh, it's a rocket launch. But the next thing is probably the Falcon Heavy launch at the end of this month. That's out of Cape Canaveral. So that's got the 2 side boosters that come back and land. This will be the most. We're pushing the envelope a little bit with Falcon Heavy, so it's more side load from the boosters and higher dynamic pressure.
Следующий будет 4 числа, полетит Хэви. Вот он и говорит об этом. Что, типа это будет заметно очень. Ну, то есть в небе.
That'll be an exciting launch to see if you're at the Cape. And then, hopefully later this year we should be doing test flights of Starship out of South Texas and the Cape. This is a crazy-looking vehicle.
Wow.
So
Amazing. All right, well, I think we're unfortunately out of time, although this will keep going on. Elon, thank you so much for coming to E3, being a part of this. This is so cool to have you here. Todd Howard, thanks for doing this. Once in a lifetime. Todd and Elon. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it, guys.
thank you.
No time.